Hey guys, it's Barbie with Two Friends in a Bible. This is our Wednesday update for what's going on in the world news, and I got a lot to give you today, and it's only been since Monday since I've been here, so let me know what you think. I'm going to get started though. Okay, so we are having across the world, I don't know if you guys have been noticing, but a lot of earthquakes. And I know we typically have earthquakes, it's not uncommon, but we are having a lot more than ever, and they're intensifying in the strength and what the sizes, that they are. So I'm gonna give you a list of just a few of the ones that I know about. We talked about the one Monday about the 6.9 that struck the mid-Atlantic, and when it struck the mid-Atlantic, it was predicted that the other side of the planet would also have a earthquake, and it did, and it was a 6.1, a 6.2 in the South Pacific. There were two 6.6 in earthquakes that happened in South China, and then it Okay, and then there were two in South China that caused some pretty serious damage and multiple deaths. Then right after those two happened, we had a third one struck, and it was a 6.1. So China got hit, quite well, and they're already going through massive drought. So anyway, pray for the people of China. Not necessarily the CCP, but the people of China. Okay, north of New Zealand had a 5.3. Iran had a 5.4. Japan, Greece, and New Caledonia had a 5.3. Afghanistan and Indonesia had a 5.1. So basically your whole planet was pretty much shaken, and I don't even know if there was any in the United States or not. I haven't heard of anything big, but these are the ones that we just had across the globe. So yeah, that shows you they're intensifying and they're increasing. And that's only just in the last couple of days. That's not even over the course of a week. That's in like 2 days. And that's, not everything. That's just not everything that's going on. Earthquakes aren't the only thing going on in the world right now. I mean, just so much more. And honestly, there's too much for me to talk about as far as the earthquakes for this video. But if you want more information, go to a YouTube channel by the guy's name is Dutch Sense, Dutchsince, and he's on YouTube, and he puts up the great pictures of the globe and shows you everything, and it's pretty cool. He does a good job. So go to him and listen to him, and he can give you even more information than what I'll give you if you're interested. Okay, Liz Truss seems to be following in number 45's footsteps and might be moving the UK's embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. This is one of the campaign promises that she ran on, that she would do that if she won. If this happens, it's very good news for Israel. If you don't know who Liz Truss is, she's the new prime minister of the UK. Boris Johnson was resigned, and so she's taken over. They had elections, and that was one of her campaign promises. The prime minister of Israel, Lapid, he's the temporary prime minister right now until they have elections. He has stated that Liz is a true friend of Israel. Currently, the embassy is located in Tel Aviv, which is where the United States was located as well until number 45 moved our embassy into Jerusalem. And if you remember, he moved it on Israel's 70th anniversary on May 14th, 2018. Israel became a nation May 14th, 1948. And then in May 14th, 2018, he moved the embassy to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv. And, and so many presidents prior to him had promised to do this, and none of them never did. So it was a big deal when it happened. And, why is it important? What does it matter whether our embassies in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv? Well, there's 90 countries that have embassies in Israel right now. And of these 90, 80 are found in the Tel Aviv area. 4 are in Jerusalem, one of these being the US. By moving embassies to Jerusalem, it's showing that Jerusalem is Israel's eternal capital. That, you know, and that's something that God has, you know, ordained since the beginning. If you didn't know, Israel actually took control of Jerusalem in the 1967 war. Jerusalem is a highly contested country, and when a superpower like the US moves its embassy, it enrages the Arabs in the region around the world, but also, you know, around Israel. It makes them very, very angry. But in addition, it continues to prepare Jerusalem and Israel for its role that it will play during the tribulation, or also known as Jacob's trouble. That's the really big reason that it's such a big deal. When, you know, the word talks about and Jesus talks about the last generation will see all these things happen during their lifetime. And these are the types of things he's talking about. But, you know, he's talking about wars and rumors of wars and things like that. But if Jerusalem had not become a nation, and, you know, they hadn't been a nation since like 70 AD, then they would have, then a lot of this tribulations that needs to happen would not have happened. Like, for instance, you know, Jesus tells the Israelites, the Jews, to flee into the wilderness when the Antichrist sits on the throne and declares himself God, you know, abomination and desolation. He tells them to run, get in the wilderness. You got a very short period. Don't turn around and get anything, just go. And these things couldn't happen if Israel had not become a nation. You know, it would have never happened. And that's why these types of things are so very important. It's just showing more prophecy being fulfilled. These are the following countries that are now saying they may move their embassies to Jerusalem. It's going to be Serbia, Romania, Paraguay, Moldova, Micronesia, Marshall Islands, Togo, and now the UK. And time will tell if this is actually going to happen or not. And it does look likely that the UK is definitely going to do it. And with that happening, it's possible these other countries will definitely follow suit. So we will just wait and see. But I'll tell you though, watching all these things unfold, the earthquakes intensifying, not just in strength, but in how many. And, you know, in the end times, there's going to be that big earthquake. So, you know, in my opinion, the fault lines are waking up, you know, because there's a lot of fault lines that have been there forever, but they've never actually had an earthquake. And now we're seeing places that haven't had earthquakes that are starting to have them. So that leads me to believe those fault lines are waking up in preparation for that big earthquake. So another, like I said, we'll find out. And we're truly living in the end times. And the fig tree generation, which is the last generation, is definitely happening right now. And we see everything Jesus said will take place prior to his return. I mean, it's all happening. And it's not a matter of Jesus is going to rapture the church. It's now a matter of when he's going to do it. You know, it feels closer. Okay, so moving on to some more Israel. Former Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel has stated that Israel will switch from defense mode to attack mode on November 1st. And the rumor has it looks really good for him to win the elections on November 1st. So if he does win the elections, then obviously he's saying there's not going to be this defense stuff anymore. We're going to be going strong. So, and that's if Lapid doesn't do it prior. But the elections are on November 1st, so time will tell. So Israel has struck Iranian targets near Aleppo, Syria in the airport. I reported about that the other day, but I think it's happened again. And there were 3 major blasts heard, as well as more blasts on the Latakia coast. And yeah, this is the second Israel strike there in the last week. And the Syrians, because Aleppo, Syria was obviously in Syria, They reported these blasts were at the airport in Aleppo and that the runway is now unusable. Okay, and obviously the reason that Israel is striking there is because that's where Iran is bringing a lot of their arsenal, the weapons and things like that. So they're trying to destroy them. And then in eastern Syria, at the military airport in Deir ez-Zor, which is Deirezor, was attacked by unknown airplanes. And this was the military airport. There again, going after a military arsenal. And the reason it's considered unknown is at this point, when I read about it, they really weren't sure, was it Israel or America that did it? Because America and Israel are both attacking at this point. And of course, America has gotten attacked by Iranian militias in Syria as well. And that's been going on for about a week. Then I'm going to read you this. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in the siege, both against Judah and against Jerusalem. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. So God is saying, I'm going to make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people about, when they shall be in the siege, both against Judah and Jerusalem. He's saying, people that are attacking Judah and Jerusalem and that whatnot, he's going to make them a cup of trembling. In other words, he's going to take care of that situation and make the people attacking tremble with fear. And that is a prophecy that you can actually find in Zechariah 12:2-3. Now, have you guys seen these big rainbow clouds that's been seen all over the world? And then also the auras, AURO. It's been really interesting seeing lots of rainbow clouds, not just, a normal rainbow, but clouds that's got like rainbow in it. And it can be on a perfectly gorgeous day. No reason for a rainbow. There's no rain or anything. And they're beautiful. One was seen in China, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. But also a lot of auras are being seen. And those kind of look like, what the Northern Lights look like? It kind of looks like that, but they're being seen all over the world. And I didn't know if anyone else has seen them. If you have, let me know. I've seen them via pictures. I haven't seen anything in our area. And, God promises he'll never destroy the earth with floods again. And his rainbow is a reminder. In Matthew 24, Jesus talks about the signs of his return, and signs in the heaven are definitely those. So, we're seeing these as, when Jesus talks about when we're coming back, and in Revelation, it talks about we'll be seeing signs in the heavens. And is that what we're seeing? Because these are so different than anything that we've ever seen before. Are they signs in the heaven? And, you've got, I think it's going to be in the next week or so, we're going to have planets are just going to be lining up, which is incredibly rare. Not that it won't happen, but it's very rare. We had a solar flare yesterday. And a solar flare, I don't know how to explain it scientifically sounding, so it's just going to be my sounding. But basically, it's a chunk of the sun that comes off and shoots off. Well, it happened yesterday, and it hit Venus, and it's the second time it's hit Venus in the last week. Well, the sun, I guess, is rotating or whatever, and so that side that keeps losing the pieces, the solar flares, is going to be facing Earth. So, and that's going to happen in the next week at the same time that the planets are aligning. So curious to see, what's going to happen, if anything is going to happen. But I will say this, though, Flora, the other girl that's on this with me, on Two Friends in a Bible with me, she got home from work yesterday and her internet and her cable and everything is out. And she's not like me. She don't never have problems with internet and stuff. And so she called and kind of find out the Spectrum told them that the reason that they were without internet and cable was because of the solar flare. So I don't know, did it hit a satellite? Did maybe some debris hit? I don't know, but the solar flare is what took them out. So I found that kind of, interesting. Because and the reason I speak of solar flares is because that's another end time prophecy thing. Well, it's actually not it's a trumpet, one of the trumpets where the sun will come, or maybe one of the bowls. But anyway, it's where the sun is going to come down and scorch people. Might be a bowl, but it's going to come down and scorch people. So that's another, leaning towards prophecy, is that sun getting ready to start doing something. I don't know. We'll wait and see. And then, of course, the UFO sightings, tons of them. And you know what I think of UFOs? I think they're demons. Revelation chapter 12 or 6 talks about Satan throwing a third of his angels to the earth. And his angels are demons. So if we're getting close to the end times, would we see him already throwing them? So just, these are just thoughts. I'm not saying they are definitely going to happen or what this is definitely what's happening or not. I'm just giving you my thoughts, giving you thoughts to think about, and you let me know what you think. I definitely think we're definitely coming in towards the end times. And I know for years we've heard people say, well, Jesus is coming back. Jesus is coming back. Jesus is coming back. Well, yes, but not with all these things happening, including Israel becoming a nation, and Israel had to become a nation before anything could happen, because that's what started the fig tree generation. The fig tree is Israel. And that's what started the generation. And fig tree generation also is the last generation. And the last generation is the people, or generation lasts 70 to 80 years. And the generation is people that are going to be alive during this time. And Israel's 74 years old now. So from 1948 to now. So, it's just a lot of things adding up. Definitely. Okay. And I was listening to, moving on, I was listening to another Watchman who gave a list, and this was yesterday. He put out a list that he had gotten, and it was about there's 33 things we need to know about the coming food shortages. And if you've been watching our channel, you know that we have been warning that it's a possibility that we are definitely going to go into a famine. The seals now, and we're already somewhat in a miniature one, and one of the seals talks about famine. And so I believe maybe the fourth seal, you have to look it up. I don't have them memorized, but I believe it's like the fourth seal talks about that. Okay. And on this channel, we believe that God a lot of times puts a precursor on the earth, so to speak. In other words, he gives us signs of what's to come. So everything that's happening is the seals and the trumpets and stuff. So is he giving us signs? And then Jesus also talks about birthing pains. So are we in the birthing pains? But these are the 33 things, and I'm going to read them to you real quick. The number one hard red winter wheat crop in the U.S. this year was the smallest since 1963. In 1963, there were 182 million people in the U.S. Now there's 329 people. And the rice, the red winter wheat crop is just as small as it was in 63, but we got almost double the amount of people now. It is being projected that the rice harvest in California is going to be half of what it would have been in any normal year. The tomato harvest will come in at 10.5 million pounds for 2022. This is over 1 million tons lower than usual. This year is predicted to be the worst U.S. corn harvest in the last decade. Shipment of carrots is way down. Sweet corn is down 20% in the U.S. Sweet potatoes is down 13% so far this year. Celery is down 11%. Peach production is down 15%. 75% of U.S. farmers are saying this year's drought is hurting their harvest. Now, I know most of what I just read was vegetables and stuff, so I know you carnivores are like, hey, I ain't worried about vegetables, and vegetarians are like, oh no, I'm kind of more of a vegetarian, but sorry, carnivores, you're not left out of this. Cattle is down 41% due to drought in the entire United States. In New Mexico, it's down 43%, and Texas cattle in Texas is down 50%. Oklahoma is now predicting that ground beef could eventually top $50 per pound. And you remember one of the seals, I think it's a seals, talks about a denarius. It costs I don't know the word for word, but a denarius is your day's wages just to buy some wheat. And you're looking at $50 a pound for hamburger. The U.S. has been suffering from drought conditions for 101 consecutive weeks, with the worst mega drought in the U.S. in 1,200 years. Europe is currently experiencing the worst drought it has seen in 500 years. Central Europe river levels have fallen so low that hunger stones are being revealed for the first time in centuries. I'm not 100% sure what hunger stones are. I probably should have researched it before we got on here, but you might want to just Google it if you don't know what it is. I'm going to do that when we get off. Corn production in the entire EU, European Union, is down 20%. Crop losses in France are predicted to be up to 35%. So 35% of crop losses in France. Crop losses in the UK is predicted to be as high as 50%. Germany is predicting crop losses of 50% in some parts of Germany. Italy has already lost up to 80% of their harvest. Somalia's agricultural production will be down 80% this year. Eastern Africa are in endless droughts, resulting in the death of 7 million animals this year already. China is facing the worst drought they have ever seen in their history, this along now with all the earthquakes. India normally accounts for 40% of all global rice, but they are warning this production is going to be way down. A third of Pakistan was underwater after floods, and their agricultural area was hit, and the majority of the crops have been washed away. Prices of fertilizer has tripled, and in some areas it's quadrupled. It's being reported that the number of Americans are taking out short-term loans for groceries, and it has risen by 95%. So it's saying that a number of Americans, it's risen up to like 95% that they're taking loans just to buy groceries. The U.S. food banks, and we've talked about this before, but they're not getting much donations, and they're expected to be closed by the end of the year. The WHO, World Health Organization, is telling us that millions of people in Africa are potentially facing a very real threat of starving to death. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has publicly stated he believes there will be multiple famines in 2023. If we're just experiencing one crisis globally, as a world, we can take precautions to correct or fix it or prepare for it, or both. But there are so many different crises going on. How do we do it? How do we fix everything? There's just so many crises at one time. On Monday, I reported about all the civil unrest. 101 countries are reporting civil unrest out of 198. Yeah, that's a lot. And it's not just famine, but countries are economically collapsing. plus the civil unrest, more earthquakes than ever and larger ones to boot. Pestilence happening in the world with new ones rising. We as Christians know why this is happening. Jesus is coming soon, and God is warning us that it's going to happen very soon. And these are the warnings that Jesus give us. When we're raptured, when the Christians are taken up, can you imagine how bad the chaos is going to be? I mean, think about it. Millions of people gone, and we hold mortgages, credit card, loans, all that, farmers, electricians, are going to be gone. People that keep this world together, and we're going to be gone. So, and talk about economic loss again. Think about all the mortgages and things that are going to be foreclosed on because there's not going to be anyone here to pay. So yeah, think about how bad the chaos is going to be then. And this is nothing compared, and honestly, what's going on right now is nothing compared to what I believe is coming during the tribulation or Jacob's trouble. Christians are the restraining force that holds the Antichrist back. Once we're gone, there's going to be no holding the Antichrist and Satan back. Okay. And please remember, you still have time to turn to Christ and have the same sense of peace that we as Christians have. Jesus is on the throne. Okay. He is on the throne, but you must turn to him. And this isn't about religion. This is about a relationship with Christ. Okay. All right. So rumors have it that some of the big names are about to dump billions and billions of dollars in the stock market. In other words, they're dumping their stock. We'll see if this happens. If it does, that's not going to be good for people with stock. It's going to be really bad. The Guardian, which is a paper, also reported that the super rich preppers were planning to save themselves from the apocalypse and are buying up luxurious bunkers and hiring military personnel for protection. These bunkers are built in the mountains and caves. Okay, so I'm going to read you Revelation chapter 6, verses 12 through 17. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and there was a great earthquake. So there's the earthquake. And the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became his blood, and the stars of heaven fell into the earth, even as a fig tree cast her untimely figs when she is shaken off. A mighty wind and the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. So the earthquake is going to be so bad that it's going to move the mountains and islands out of their places. And the kings of the earth and the great men and the rich men and the chief captains and the mighty man and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the den and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of the wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? So when the wrath of God comes, all these people that's going to be sitting in their little homes inside the mountains, they're going to be begging the rocks to fall on them because of the wrath of God coming. They're going to realize that they were wrong, and they're going to realize that, and they're just going to beg the rocks to fall on them because they're going to realize that they were wrong and that they missed it. Because I'm sure by then they'll have the mark of the beast, most likely. Luke 21, okay, we're going to read this, 21, 25 through 28. The Lord Jesus Christ says the following, and there shall be signs in the sun and the moon. Remember, we talked about that just a few minutes ago. And in the stars, and upon the earth, distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves warring. Men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after these things which are coming to the earth. For the powers of the heavens shall be shaken, and then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your head, for your redemption's draw nigh. Your redemption draweth nigh. Yeah, so when if you're still here for whatever reason, when you see Christ coming on those clouds, because I believe that's speaking of the second coming, which is at the end of the tribulation. If you see Christ coming on them clouds, just know your redemption draweth nigh. It's about to end. Okay. So if for whatever reason you do find yourself left, then you'll know. Okay. Militaries have built these bunkers around the world for years, but now the rich elite are buying them and building them up as well. So it's something that the military's done for a very long time, and we've known about that, for protection when they need it to go to. But now the rich preppers are realizing what's going on in this world, and they need to find a safe place to go. Okay, so Las Vegas has 20 days of fresh water left. We are dangerously close to an economic fail. There was a survey done, and in that survey, over a third of Christian senior pastors have stated that they believe we can get to heaven through good works. I hate it that they're believing that, and I hate it they're teaching that, because there's going to be a day when Jesus is going to say to them, "Depart from me, I never knew you." Sad, and because these senior pastors have a flock that follow them, and they're going to fall away, and because they follow those pastors, they're going to believe them, and it's going to lead them straight to hell, because they're going to believe they can get there for good works. Nobody's good enough to get to heaven. No one. Without Christ. I mean, no one. And, prophecy also tells us that in the end times, churches will fall away. Men will become lovers of money, false prophets, false messiahs. So if you're going to a church that's doing something like this, I would highly think about rethinking that, And if they're not teaching the end times, I'm not saying they got to live in the end times, but if they're not teaching it, then yeah, I would find something else. If they're not, going from Genesis to Revelation and using the entire Bible for their teaching, then I would find somewhere else, because every single chapter and verse is there for a reason. And I know of some pastors that shy away from certain books of the Bible. And no, it was given for a reason. And, just remember, you cannot earn your way into heaven. It's only through grace, through the faith of Jesus Christ. Okay. Again, there is no one on this planet that can earn their way into heaven through good works. None of us, no one is good enough to do that. Okay? That's why God sent Christ, because he knew that. Okay, so on Monday, we talked about a new type of pneumonia in Argentina, but I didn't know much information about it at that time, but I have found out just a little bit, and it's called Legionella, Legionella. So far, there's been 11 cases confirmed with 4 deaths. And the most common way to transmit it is inhalation of contaminated aerosols produced in conjunction with water sprays, jets, or mist. Treatments for this is antibiotics for several weeks or even months. The Argentina Health Organization is working hard to try and learn how to combat this. Is that going to be another one of our pestilence? Time will tell. Watch out for it. Just pay attention and see if they can contain it, or is it going to turn into a virus type thing, like, C word. Okay, they saw just in the last day or so, there was another large Iranian cargo plane that was seen landing in Moscow, possibly more drones. Okay, so over the weekend, the U.S. had B-52s fly over the Middle East. The U.S. said on Monday that they sent 2 B-52s long-range nuclear bombers over the Middle East to display strength as tension continues to escalate between Iran and the U.S. What I understand from that is that the bombers, the P-52 bombers, which are nuke capable, left Britain. Well, it was Britain. And then there was two or three British planes following them. There were 3 Israeli fighter jets, and I think there was a couple of Saudi Arabia jets in the same, all together doing this. Of course, they're saying, some were saying that it was to show the Middle East our strength. And I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to believe, because you've got this administration, number 46's administration, really pushing this Iran nuke deal, really pushing it. And in the same breath, he's trying to split Jerusalem in half, split the capital in half, give half to Palestine and half to Israel, make a 2-state solution. So he's throwing them, so he's wanting to give Iran all this money, because it will come up to like billions of dollars a year for so many years. And he's wanting to give them all this money, which we all know they're going to use it to further their terrorists, the jihads and the Hezbollahs and all them. We already know they're going to do that. And we already know they got nuclear capability. So they've got money for that, for somehow, for whatever. So they're really pushing it. And then you got them saying they're flying to show the Middle East. Oh, and you got Iran attacking our military in Syria. And then you've got them flying with the B-52s and whatnot, showing our strength. But in the same breath, and they're attacking our military in Syria, but you are really, really wanting this Iran deal. Why? Somebody has a good answer for that. Please leave me a message, send me an email, whatever. Because something, what is it, like I smell a dirty fish. Something just ain't right. So y'all just let me kind of know if you know anything about that. Let's see. Oh, yesterday there was a 5.5 earthquake in Chile. So just another one to the attachment. The UN Security Council had a meeting regarding the Zaporizhia, Zaparisia. And I know that I butcher these names. I'm not good at saying them. But it's a nuclear power plant in Ukraine. Zaporizhia is the largest nuclear power plant in Europe, and it has 6 nuclear reactors and generates a good bit of Ukraine's energy. In this UN meeting, they discussed the results of the inspection that the IAEA had. And they've decided that 2 inspectors are going to remain on site permanently. The report, which I believe was like 50 pages or something, it was a pretty big report that they've done on what's going on at this nuclear reactor. They have stated that different areas of the plant that were hit by artillery and different munitions, and they provided details of the damage. So they've confirmed that it was hit by military, by artillery. And what they're asking for right now is for Russia to leave this area and for Ukraine to agree not to occupy it. So for Ukraine to agree not to go back and for Russia to leave. Right now, Russia is occupying it, even though it's in Ukraine's territory. Russia's occupying it. And it's in a city called, is it Crimea? Crimea, and it's like Crimea Peninsula. And if Russia brings their nukes into that area, they are able to hit any European capital from that area. So it's a very dangerous area for Russia to be. So that's why the UN is getting involved, and they're asking Russia, you leave, Ukraine, you don't come back. And then we're going to keep 2 people on site to monitor what's going on until this war or whatever is over, ceasefire, whatever. Okay. But speaking of Ukraine, though, they were able to retake a village close to Kherson, Cursom. And in this city, they're working to push the Russians out of this area and to take over the city. And they have succeeded in cutting off supplies to Russian troops in this area and taking out the larger bridges. More counterattacks are expected, especially in Crimea Peninsula, going back to the nuclear place. They're thinking there's going to be some counterattacks, and I'm assuming that would be Ukraine counterattacking unless UN was able to defuse that situation. We'll see. And right now, it is appearing that Ukraine is going to go in and try and take over that area, but they are waiting on the $12 billion package plan that the U.S. administration has put together, and they're just waiting on Congress to sign off on it. So if they get the $12 million package, then that's going to give them a lot more leeway to be able to go into this area and take back the peninsula and the nuke plant, which was theirs in the beginning anyway, but Russia took over. So they get that 12 million, they'll have more of a capability, to be able to go in and do that. We're just waiting to kind of see what's going to happen, whether or not they're going to agree with UN or not. I don't know. In the beginning, I really, really believed that Russia was just going to go in and take over the Ukraine and call it done. Larger army, larger military, larger everything. So I really thought they were just going to do that. But the West has sent so much money and so much artillery and bombs and things to Ukraine that it's turned the pages a little bit or a good bit, and Russia's not doing nearly as good as we thought they were going to do, and probably would have if the West had not sent all that over to help them. And and I'm not really sure. I don't like seeing anyone attacked, anyone bombed, anyone held in bondage, anyone killed. I don't like any of it. But I don't really understand. It's not even a NATO country, and I'm not 100% understanding why we have helped so much, because in the same breath, we've depleted our military. We're depleting our arsenal and all of our stuff. So we are weakening us every day. And yes, we wanted to help Ukraine, but not to the detrimental of us. And so I'm a little confused on that, but we'll see what happens. And I kind of suspect that 12 million package will go through. If that's the case, then my guess, just my gut feeling, Ukraine's going to tell UN, no, sorry, I'm going to go back and get the peninsula area because that was ours to begin with. And I'm going to throw Russia out of there. And they've already taken over the other city of Kherson. So they might have kind of, a power surge and say, look, we can do this. But the other thing too, on the other spectrum, if this does happen and they do get this package and they do start these counterattacks, I do believe that it's going to put Putin over the edge, and he's not going to stand to lose anything at this point, and he's just going to start nuking. I just might be wrong. I'm not a prophet. I can't see in the future. I have none of those abilities. So I might be 195% wrong on this, but that's just my gut. Putin's going to be, he's in his 70s, and I just think he's going to believe, he doesn't stand to lose anything. And if you're coming back to get a city that I've already taken, I'm going to nuke you. And then, he's already threatened America with nukes. And as much as we've helped them, we'll see. Okay, we're almost done. Albania cancels a diplomatic relations with Iran and gives the embassy 24 hours to close. They are blaming Tehran, for cyber attacks on their government system earlier this year. And remember, on Monday, we just talked about that. I had heard that we actually have been getting cyber attacks more so from Asia than anywhere. So yeah, I can see that happening. And so they canceled Albania just canceled all their diplomatic relations with Iran. So anyway, that's all I got for today. But you guys be of good cheer. Be of good cheer, okay? You know, all of this doom and gloom is really and truthfully great news because it's telling us that our Lord Jesus Christ is coming soon, okay? And we don't put our faith in man, stock market, or anything else other than Jesus Christ, okay? So I know that a lot of times when we're reporting all this, it seems like it's all doom and gloom. And I mean, kind of it is. But it's also great news because it means, Jesus is coming soon and Jesus coming. That's taking out evil. That's taking out all this evil in the world. And it's going to be beautiful at that time. So y'all stay put. Tomorrow I am going to upload our first series in the John study that we're doing. It starts tomorrow. We're going to upload that tomorrow. It's going to be on an introduction to John, and then it's going to be on the first part of John chapter 1. And then every week on Thursday, we'll upload another. I uploaded one of our, I think it was our 15th video in the Revelation 101 series. We uploaded that yesterday. And then I'm going to upload this today. And then Friday, I'll probably try and do another news update, especially to get us through the weekend. And again, if I hear anything, I'll let you guys know. And thanks for stopping by our channel and listening to us. And if you would please subscribe, like our channel, share this video. We would really appreciate it. We're trying very hard to get all this news out there. And, we don't claim to be prophets. We're not preachers. We're not evangelists. We're not theologians. We're just two girls that like to study their Bible and who like to share with everyone what we learn. Okay. So I appreciate you guys. Y'all have a great day and I'll chat with you later. Bye.